back and, not looking pretty for the rupee. 86.65 now. We continue to edge towards all-time lows, or rather we continue to breach all-time lows. And the RBI governor has hinted that foreign exchange flexibility will continue, did not express any objections to the rupee slump in meetings. This is coming straight from Bloomberg, by the way. RBI will continue to intervene, he says, to curb excessive variances on the rupee and the dollar. It's fallen to an all-time low, of course, against the dollar. Those flashes coming through. I have Vishy here to give us more context on this. Vishy, with regard to currency, it's been in focus over the last couple of days. Also, some amount of blame attached to currency for yesterday's fall. But what is this with regard to the RBI governor suggesting that he doesn't want wild swings on the rupee, because that's exactly what's happening?
Yeah, Harsh, just for the benefit of our viewers and for our understanding, the RBI governor has not spoken anywhere. He's not actually given any commentary on the rupee.
Sure.
The stories and the sources who NDTV Profit have also spoken to seem to suggest that internally within the RBI, there is no major concern with the way the rupee is moving at this point in time. In fact, the RBI has been very clear that we are going to be in a wait-and-watch mode ahead of the Trump oath-taking that is going to happen on the 20th of January. For the time being, we are watching where the market is heading. There are enough reserves in place to control any kind of volatility, but they're not targeting any specific levels in the current market, because that would mean that you would end up throwing good money after bad. So at this point in time, the RBI seems to be waiting and watching what exactly is going to happen on the rupee front, whether there is going to be any excess volatility. Then of course they step in, but broadly they're in a wait and watch mode, holding off till anything material happens from the US, because certain announcements by the Trump administration seems to suggest that there will be tariffs coming in, and if tariffs do come in, then that has implications for how the currency will move. We have with us Anindya Banerjee from Kotak. Anindya, I just wanted to get your view, in your assessment, in the way that the central bank is moving at this point in time. It doesn't seem that they're heavy on interventions. Just tell us how you are seeing this.
Thank you for having me. A very good afternoon. Yes, because there is nothing for the RBI to get concerned here, because when we look at how the rupee is doing, if we just focus on USD as a barometer, I think it will be a very narrow scope. We need to compare it with how the other currencies is doing. So what has happened since Trump's election, or rather he becoming the US president, is that there has been a complete reversal in how much the interest rates are expected to be lowered in America. That has been a major factor that has boosted the dollar index. It has gone from almost 100 to now 110. And at the same time, yes, the whole anticipation or the fear that Trump administration can be quite aggressive on trade front, and some aggressive measures can be taken via tariffs on non-tariff measures. So uncertainty also helps the dollar. But if you compare how the rupee has behaved vis-a-vis other currencies, we have actually done better than the average. And RBI has ample FX reserves, close to $635 billion. And that's enough to intervene and curb volatility. And they have been doing so for a long period of time.
Right, Anindya, just a quick sort of check on the current position at the rupee. You're seeing repeated record lows coming in on the rupee front. 86.58 is according to the last count. I just wanted to get your view on how are you seeing the future course for the rupee? What do levels look like by March?
Sure. See, we could actually, currently we are in a kind of a buy the rumor, and we could see sell the fact, which means the Trump inauguration would be the event to watch. So the market could be building a risk premium in the various emerging market currencies. So it's quite possible that the USD peaks around 87 or 87.20 over the next 1 week, and then gradually begins to slide down, which means the dollar corrects in the month of Feb, because once the inauguration is done, the policies will come out that's anticipated. So we may not see further appreciation in the dollar. That's our anticipation, that we could see relief appreciation in the Indian rupee. And possibly by March, because we tend to see a lot of exporter repatriation. So let's say around the level of 86.5, it could settle by March.
Okay. Coming to the RBI intervention strategy, now, of course, some analysts were pointing out yesterday that excessive intervention could open up because you are going to see erosion of for your reserves. It could end up opening the rupee up to speculative attacks. How far do you agree to this?
Not at this point in time, because see, as I said, if the rupee was depreciating on its own and other currencies were not participating, then yes. So right now, when the currency is being driven by entirely global factors, then there is the risk of a speculative attack on a particular currency like the Indian rupee is low, because the macroeconomic scenario is stable, the fiscal balances are in a much better shape, and the fiscal deficit is expected to actually undershoot the budget expectation. So on all the macroeconomic parameters, there is little sense for speculators to go and attack the Indian rupee. But as I said, right now it is the fear of the Trump administration that is driving the dollar, and the whole reversal of Federal Reserve from aggressive rate cuts to some quarters are now saying that the rate cuts are done, and Fed could even think of hiking rates as the inflation picks up. So I think it's more of a global phenomena than a pure rupee-centric issue.
One more question I wanted to ask you, Anindya, is there are certain reports out there now, research reports which suggest 88, 90 on the rupee front. Do you think that that's probably a likelihood?
As I said, what we have to watch is what are the policies of the Trump administration. Yes, we can get a relief rally, as I said, once he steps in, because the market has priced in so much. But once those measures come out, what we have to see is how aggressive is he in pursuing America First policy. If he goes for very aggressive measures which upends the global trade, then that can drive the dollar index towards 115 or 116 or beyond that, because we had seen 115 in 2022 during the Ukraine and Russia war. But if the dollar index continues to surge past those levels, yes, the USD has to move in line, because, as I said, the rupee cannot do something very different from what the other currencies are doing. So in that case, we could see levels of 88 and 89.
Anindya, in fact, exactly that point, Harsh also joining in. How critical is it going to be to keep our eyes on other currencies as well relative to the dollar? In the last couple of years, that's not happened as much. But do you believe that now it's even more relevant for that for that eye on other currencies?
Absolutely, because the Trump administration's focus is on China, and the Chinese currency, the renminbi, it has a huge impact on the EM currencies, because if the renminbi continues to depreciate, then if we don't let our rupee appreciate by intervening, if we don't let our rupee depreciate by intervening, what's going to happen? It will start hitting our exports. Already the global trade environment is expected to be challenging after Trump. So in that situation, yes, we have to keep an eye on the renminbi. We have to keep an eye on the other Asian currencies. As I said, if the dollar continues to rise, depending on how aggressive the Trump's tariff measures are, then it can pull all the emerging market currencies down, more or less. So Indian rupee can outperform, but it cannot defy the trend.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. Pleasure talking to you. We'll come back to you, of course. Abhishek Goenka joining us now on the line. Abhishek, how are you seeing comments that are purportedly coming in from within the RBI? It seems that the RBI is not too concerned with the way the rupee is moving at this point in time. They're actually in a wait-and-watch mode, sort of waiting to see what the Trump administration, once it takes charge on 20th of January, will bring to the world. How are you seeing this?
Hi. So, looking at the way the rupee has depreciated, I think it's moved in tandem with other Asian currencies, and I think last 3 months move have been very similar to what happened with China. So I think it's running back to back. The delta of the rupee with regards to the other currencies, the other Western currencies, the delta is 0.3. So if those currencies get weaker by 10%, we get weaker by around 3.5%, and that's the broad trend that we have seen. So, in the current context, looking at the way markets are behaving and the momentum that you can see in the dollar rupee, as of now, there is still bearish momentum. It's very difficult to call up a level that whether it's going to go to 88 or 89 or the levels that's been talked about in the market. Because time and again, we have seen that whenever the tide turns, and if we have depreciated a little bit aggressively, then RBI can come and hit the market. That's a possibility. And the news which is coming right now that RBI Governor is comfortable with the flexible rupee, I think that the market already knows. And the current rupee, the current rates are not reacting according to that. It's at the same level what it was some time back. So I guess we need to wait and watch in the next 7-8 days because it could be that he does not speak anything, Mr. Donald Trump, and then the market starts reversing. And so we cannot discount that also. So I am not predicting a doomsday for rupee currently. Even our markets are getting into a very healthy territory where valuations are getting cheaper. Sooner or later, we will start seeing a lot of flows coming into India. So even though we could see some knee-jerk depreciation in rupee, on a medium to long term, I don't see a situation of extreme panic. I see things settling down. And then I think, again, it could be the same story.
Abhishek, coming to the way the rupee is, and I'm going to take the focus away from dollar movements or the US based announcements, but the way the rupee is moving, 3.5% down for the year, you think this is a fairly workable sort of level?
So let's look at that this way, that the inflation differentials between India and America has broadly been 2-3%. Okay. Now, that was the kind of movement we used to have in a year. And this time around, because we saw extreme dollar strength and we had overvaluation in rupee, which everybody knows, because of the aggressive interventions, aggressive positions in India markets, we lost quite a lot of reserves. And then one fine day we realized that we can't keep losing reserves. And the outflows don't stop at all. So then we let it depreciate and okay, let's accept the global currencies and the movement currencies like Chinese yuan is making. Let's accept that and let it depreciate. So I think that's what is happening right now. Now, if something breaks down in Chinese yuan, we have to react. And I think at $620-30 billion reserves, obviously the top end 10% is gone. So the next 10%, if you want to use it in a very, very efficient manner. So I think that's what is happening right now.
Now, from my side, and I think Harsh has one as well after that, but from my side, I just wanted to, you said that it's difficult to sort of predict levels at this point in time, but overall, is there any kind of outlook that you have on the rupee, on where it will probably end?
Oh, no clue, honestly.
And Abhishek, sorry, so maybe if I can interject and ask the same question in a slightly different manner. Abhishek, so at what point do you believe that an intervention is necessary, given all of these variables, given FX reserves, given the way that we've slid in terms of the rupee, given the way in which markets have reacted, all of that?
I think an intervention, a big intervention would be required, would be done, what comes in my mind in two ways. One is, if there is a real panic, where somebody is trying to just take humongous amount of money in very short time, and our currencies are not reacting as per the global currency. So at one end, if rupee is the only currency which is depreciating, and because of reasons which are not fundamental in nature, then it's a job of RBI to come and hit the speculator. That's one. Second is, if there is a point when rupee is depreciating a lot, and suddenly you see the dollar weakening again, and that time you get an opportunity to start intervening in the market with by spending less foreign exchange reserves because the market is in your favor. That's where the RBI also comes and hits aggressively, right? So, and third, I think intervention is also getting reduced because you have a lot of rupee liquidity which is in shortage. So you sold a lot of dollars, you sucked out a lot of liquidity. Growth is a concern, banking system liquidity is a concern. So you just can't keep selling dollars like that. So they have to either do OMOs and protect the market, otherwise you just can't keep selling the dollars. I think that is another concern which has come in after you sold a lot of dollars last year.
Okay, point taken. Thanks so much, Abhishek, for coming in, speaking with us, giving us all of that perspective. We'll let you go. Thanks so much, Vishy, for joining us this afternoon and giving us that perspective. So